Hey there, you're listening to You Still Going On About That with Rob Israel and Joseph K. You can find us anywhere you could download podcasts. You could also find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at YSGOAT. Thanks for listening. I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
And you still going on about
that?
All right, Joseph. It is Wednesday, August 25th, 11:33 Texas time.
Yes.
We're going to do this podcast into the next day. It'll be August 26th. We do a 2-day shift. And, when we do the YSGOAT podcast, no other podcast does this.
I don't think so.
I mean, again, I'm not sure. I don't even know what a podcast is. We're recording this with 2 Folgers cans.
Right, with a very long string.
Yep.
And an old Panasonic tape deck.
Yep. And you tell me, you put it out there and people hear it. And as far as I know, someone's listening. I should learn a little bit of Czechoslovakian.
Right? Yes, Czech.
Learn a little bit. We should do like a portion of our show in Czech. And it's
that
good.
Would be good.
It's to learn another language.
Yeah.
It is, but it expands the brain. A lot of Americans don't speak second language. They barely speak the first language.
I was going to say I'd settle for most Americans learning English well, and then we can work on a second language. But that's a good point.
And and the thing is, for me, the way I speak, which usually just is a lot of profanity, I should be able to learn many languages, because 90% of what I say is usually profanities. Mm-hmm. So I really only need to learn like 30 proper words of each language, and then like 10 to 15 curse words.
Right. Honestly, for me, most of it's just eye rolls and hand gestures. So I mean,
like Mr. Roper, like
right.
Jack would say something that would allude to him being a homosexual.
Yes.
Was part of the show.
Right. It was the heartbeat of the show.
Would look at the screen, roll his eyes, kind of give like a little face, and we knew what he was thinking.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We need a Mr. Roper based communication style, I guess.
Yeah, right? I think so.
I think this would solve all kinds of problems in the world.
Right. And then like if you wanted to have like a unique dialect, you could maybe speak Furley. Like that could be your second language.
I speak Roper and Furley.
Yes.
And a little bit of Larry.
Right. I'll tell you, Roper was great. Like Mr. Roper and Mrs. Roper were great. However, the switch to Don Knotts as Mr. Furley was no downgrade. I don't think. I think Furley.
If anything, it was up to the moon.
It did. It's like the Dogecoin kids say. It was a moonshot. It was really.
Yeah, it was a moon. It was definitely a money shot, as the producers of the show would say.
Yeah. Oh well. All right.
And that's not a thing, right? Money shot.
Money shot. I don't know. I was on. I
don't Google money shot.
Yeah, don't do that, and don't. Yeah, okay. I'm just gonna skip all that. And cryptocurrency, which I am a big fan of.
You're a crypto grifter.
There's some shady fucking people in crypto, and the
really like over 99% of crypto is
the overlap between magachuds and crypto kids is a very big overlap.
They have totally. I mean, I think it's always been, but this past year, it has definitely been completely co-opted by the magachuds.
Really, and like I said, I am a big believer in cryptocurrency or blockchain technology, I guess I should say. I still like it. I still kind of trade in it and stuff. However, when I'm on Twitter and I see someone with like a little rocket ship in their bio and they talk about, I know for a fact they're going to be some magachud I don't want to hear from. It's
all a scam. A lot of them. I mean, this is not. We'll talk about this for a second because it's not what we were going to talk about.
Yeah.
A lot of it's a grift.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fake bad coins out there. There's a lot of bullshit out there.
Right.
There's a lot of bad people taking advantage of their audience and stuff, where like they'll be given a coin or something, right? The person, like whoever the YouTube star or whatever, and they'll talk it up because they were handed a bunch.
Yeah.
And then those people will be stupid enough to buy it. And then that guy who got a bunch of free stuff, who promoted it, will sell it, make all the money.
Right.
And people will be stuck with a valueless coin.
That happens all the time.
Right. I mean, I don't know. That's been my issue with crypto in general. That's why I'm out. I don't know. And I bought a couple of Bitcoin early this year, and I've only lost money on it. It's just sitting there. I'll just let it sit there. It has not even got back to what I paid for.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's frustrating.
I didn't use a lot. I didn't spend a lot because I just wanted to see. But I don't know what it's at now, but it's still under what, like.
Yeah. If you bought it at the height, it was probably around 60.
I didn't buy it at the height.
Then it's currently selling for 50. So if you did lose something, then it shouldn't be too much right now. But yeah, well, we didn't really plan on talking about cryptocurrency.
No, let's talk about instead of that. Let's talk about something a little more pleasant.
Yes.
Like COVID.
Yeah.
Kids. It's a known fact that kids love COVID.
Well, they're seeming to.
Their parents do. Their parents love to give their kids COVID.
We have kind of like three broad topics today or tonight. We're going to talk about the coronavirus stuff. And in that, we're going to talk about Greg Abbott, of course, the patron saint of coronavirus. Yep. Matthew McConaughey.
The biggest proponent of COVID in Texas is Greg Abbott.
Matthew McConaughey, Trump getting booed. We're talking about the farm drugs that magachuds are taking now.
Yes. Anti-vaxxer magachud people are going to feed stores.
Yeah.
And using a medicine that's made for animal parasites.
Yeah. So that's the first big chunk of what we're going to talk about. And then we're going to talk about the January 6th insurrection. There's been a little movement on that lately. And that'll be a part. And then at the end, we're going to talk about the new episode of Marvel's What If, and a movie both of us watched over the last week, Woodstock 1999. You had seen it before, and I finally got around to seeing it. And we'll talk about that. Yeah, it was good. I definitely recommend it. I don't know. Well, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that.
Yeah, you gotta get through all this before we talk about that.
Right. So, all right. So those are our three big topics. The first one, like it has been for the last years, is coronavirus related. Greg Abbott, I guess this is a good place to start. Greg Abbott signed executive order today stating that no state government agency in the state of Texas can mandate the coronavirus vaccine.
He said that they have to take what's the name of it?
Invectrum, I don't know. The horse dewormer.
Fucking horse paste instead.
Well, I'll tell you see that in Florida. You see something not as bad as horse medicine, but Ron DeSantis is doing everything he can to prevent people from wearing masks and to prevent the vaccine. But he's pimping out that Regeneron treatment left and right.
We talked about it last week.
We did, yeah.
That, also happened to be that one of his main campaign donors is a guy who happens to run the company or whatever that's going to make the most money. And we've already know that there's been a lot of Republicans and even a couple of Democrats who have money invested in things like that. They have money invested in Regeneron. I think what's his face that came out, Rand Paul.
Yeah.
So he supposedly, his wife or whatever, has found out they had like money and that stuff. And these guys are actively telling their supporters and people and making it dangerous for other people who don't support them by taking every safety measure away.
Well, it's crazy.
It's almost like those crypto people. No, it is. It's kind of like it's another scam. It's like they're a bunch of scam men. They're all a bunch of like con men who trick their stupid supporters or their stupid audience into buying up something, and then they screw them in the end. Like those guys, they dump their coin, make the coin valueless. What these guys do is a little worse in that they are endangering their supporters and everyone around them, which is us, by making the virus spread quicker by taking away any mitigation that we know is effective and works.
Yeah.
Not encouraging a free life-saving vaccine. It's free. I know some idiots will
and
say
100% approved by the FDA.
No, yeah, and now, well, Pfizer is. Pfizer is
right.
100% approved by the FDA. But it's free. I know we pay for it, but we also pay for lots of other things like bombing countries and doing all these other things and roads and stuff like that. No, you go to Walgreens or go to any place that has the vaccine, your doctor, or anything like that. There should be no charge for that.
Yeah.
If they're charging you, you are in the wrong.
Right. If they're charging you and asking for payment in the form of cum rockets crypto, then which is that's a real cryptocurrency. So
I'm sure it is.
So then you're probably in the wrong place. You need to go.
So they're telling their stupid supporters to basically, you gotta have personal responsibility and all that stuff, which is like nonsense talk. We know that's a excuse. They use that for you. Oh, people will do, companies will self-regulate. They say this shit all the time. But it's like they're conning them, and then you get someone like DeSantis who's just so outright no shame at all.
No, he's like, why change your oil when you can buy a new transmission every 3 months? You know, I mean, like
because Regeneron is like what, $1,800 a vial or something, like, and I'm sure it's not covered on health insurance yet because it's like, I won't take the vaccine because it's it wasn't tested. Yes, it was. It was tested. It was actually tested for like decades. They've been working on Corona. This is not the first coronavirus. Like, they've been working on this for years. So they're telling him that. They're telling him, you don't have to wear a mask, and because I'm not going to enforce them. So most people are like, okay, I'm not going to wear them. Oh, hey, and if you just happen to get COVID, don't worry about it because we got this drug called Regeneron. Oh, cool. I feel so much safer now. Thank you, Ron. And it's like, but it's not really available everywhere. You have to hope that if you're fucked and you get COVID, that you get those symptoms very quickly so that they can spot it and give you the Regeneron. You have like 60% chance that it'll help you.
Yeah.
Unlike the vaccine, that's 95% chance of blocking it, or if you did get it, it doesn't affect you. It's fucked up on so many levels. It's super fucked up. They're all predatory capitalists. Like the Trump administration his whole cabinet was Betsy DeVos and
they were all selling the thing they were regulating. That's it. Like Betsy DeVos, she runs charter schools and for-profit schools. What do they put her in charge of? Schools.
Her brother, speaking of which, real quick.
Yeah.
Great. We weren't really going to talk about Afghanistan, but the Republicans will tell you Afghanistan is a disaster and all that stuff, even though they kind of set all this up, but whatever.
Right.
But we've supposedly got a lot of them out, or a lot of people that wanted to get out before the Taliban completely took over, and supposedly very successful at getting thousands of people out. Here's a good one. Betsy DeVos' brother, who's famous for running Blackwater, which is like Eric Prince. Guy's a literal walking, talking war crime.
Yeah, he's like a comic book. He's like the comedian or something.
I mean, the guy, except if the comedian was like a billionaire and had like a bunch of comedians working for him.
Right. Yeah.
But he's such a nice guy, such a nice dude. This dude is he chartered a plane and got people freed, and bless his heart, he did it for free.
Well, not quite.
Wait, I'm sorry. Not free. $6,500 a person.
Yeah.
What a good guy. He was like, listen, I was going to do it for 10, but I'm not a monster.
Yeah. It's amazing. It's an indictment on the system that he's still walking around free.
Yeah, the fact that he gets to go, he's a regular on conservative media. He shows up all the time.
Yep. Yeah.
Respected on there too. It's not like they're like, oh, you're a ghoul, I'm going to talk to you. No. He's respected on there. Yeah. Our system is corrupt. The fact that this guy gets to exist, and the fact that with everything he's done, his company has done, like they can't even legally be called Blackboard anymore because it's like there was like so many like lawsuits and like that this guy that he's at a point where he gets to still do this and charge $6,500 a head. Now, did he get $6,500 a head? That's a different story. But the fact that he still gets to do this,
it's
like
something.
It's an indictment on our system.
Well, Jesus. Yeah, no, we had started with
I just wanted to bring that up. Let's get back to the COVID thing. I guess we're just bringing up how these guys are just like all con men.
Yeah.
And the fact that, but like Abbott, like, does he push Regeneron?
No, Abbott's a tough one. And you've said this a whole bunch. Abbott actually started out fairly reasonable on masks and stuff like that. And then
he put in an actual mask mandate last summer, like around June. He put in a statewide mask mandate. And then come late winter, especially after the freeze in Texas, to like kind of change the subject. So everyone who had pipes explode were like, oh, good, I don't have to wear a mask anymore.
Yeah. And honestly, like if he had, well, anyway, he started out kind of reasonable. I don't think Abbott, this is a weird thing. I don't think Abbott's looking to make any money off of this like DeSantis is. I think Abbott is just purely playing politics with this. He senses danger to his right flank. And so he wants to drift further to the right.
Right, because he has a primary. Like if the primary was this year, maybe after he won the primary, he could put in a mask.
Right.
But the primary is next year. So it's going to be thousands of Texans are going to be dead because of this.
Yeah. And there are. I read a statistic today. I know this isn't Texas. This is Florida.
Oh, God. Yeah.
This was crazy. Okay. So I got a New York Times alert, and it said, in Florida, the pandemic is worse now than ever. The daily average for new cases is 23,300, and more than 200 virus deaths are being reported each day. And then later, I was doing a look at some of the numbers. This is like a really weird statistic, and I saw it in a couple different places, a couple different official places. The number one cause of death for cops for the longest time was gunfire. Whether it's they
I thought it was cholesterol.
Well,
donuts.
It was gunfire. And so like 50 a year would die of gunfire. Last year, 200 and some died of coronavirus. And this year, more than 100. Cops are getting they
refuse to wear a mask. There was I saw in the news there's like the police union or whatever, the head of it, who looks like an evil fucking, what's that guy's name? The Fonz.
Henry Winkler?
Yeah, he looks like a evil Henry Winkler.
He
said like they'll sue if they're forced to wear a mask. And it's like, the fuck, dude? You guys are dying.
If I were a cop, man, I would wear a mask and gloves just on a good day. I mean, like the cops. I
remember seeing videos of cops going into stores in New York last year and with no masks on ever, and they don't wear masks. It's really bizarre. I think again, a lot of them are just part of that right-wing culture.
A lot of them often have to work with like homeless persons and persons who have like pretty significant diseases and illnesses. You would think that just like for their own personal safety, they'd want some protective
have a mighty immune system. I love that too. They always push that, like, my immune system's amazing, and now you're dead. Good job. Well, like they always, the right wing will always push this thing about like, or anti-maskers or vaxxers, whatever. Anti-vaxxers will push this thing like, oh, if you're healthy and all that stuff, you'll be fine. There was a guy. Did you see that one guy who was like 42? He was like a workout person.
Oh yeah.
Like mountain climbing, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, dead
Yeah,
of COVID. He's fucking dead.
it's crazy.
Guy was talking about like telling people to go out and live your life and don't wear masks, don't get vaccinated because if you if you eat like him and climb
Right,
rocks and you'll be yeah. He was on a fucking ventilator and then he's dead.
right.
And then all these people, they send it's like they build up these people's like ego and says like you're fine, you're in perfect health, you don't have to worry about anything. And then they're like they're sending them off to their death sentence. Some of
Yeah.
them, not
But
all of them, but some of them are
that's what I was
good.
going to say. So the thing is that a lot of these things are generally true. Generally speaking, if you're young and healthy, you will generally be better off than if you're old and unhealthy. I mean, no shit. Of course, that's going to be the case.
Yeah, I mean that's like
I mean,
anything.
and it's true that plenty of people get the coronavirus and come out just fine. That is also true, but it's hardly a compelling reason to play with that type of fire. I mean, like there's plenty of people that get
it's Russian roulette with one bullet. Yes,
yeah,
you have one
yeah.
out of 6 chances of dying of COVID.
Most people will live. That's true.
The first shot could be literally your death in Russian
Right.
roulette.
But most people that play Russian roulette, if they stop after the first round, will live.
Maybe.
Well, 1 out of 6.
Yes.
Odds are good that you will.
Yes, 1 out of 6.
Statistically, you've got a good chance at living. But
yeah.
That's.
I know. I still don't want to play those odds. I'd rather.
But that's not a good argument.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I will say.
Well, I think a lot of these people don't think they're playing Russian roulette. They literally think they're impervious to it.
Well,
and the younger people who don't care is like one thing. Like, listen, okay, if you're young and you have no kids,
yeah,
and you don't really see your older relatives or other people, and you're just out with your stupid friends and everything like that, and I still don't agree with you or anything like that. I totally disagree. It's the ones that like have kids,
yeah,
have elderly people around them or people who are sick around them. Those people are worse because they should know better.
Well, I think that's one of the problems with the vaccine hesitancy or the mask hesitancy is that there's a bunch of reasons. There's several different types of people, and you can't argue with them or you can't appeal to them in the same way. Like there are some people are young and dumb, like I was when I was young and dumb, and they think they're going to live forever, and they don't wear masks.
Say that and go, I'm going to live forever.
Yeah, they don't wear masks just the same.
Came out of your mouth.
When I was
I
16,
said I plan to live to at least the 80s or 90s.
No, but I never wore a seatbelt. Not until I was like 20 something did I ever wear a seatbelt.
I don't know. I guess I wasn't. I was raised on seatbelts.
I was not. I never wore a seatbelt, and it wasn't like I was making these conscious decisions to like risk my life. I was like, I'll be fine. It didn't click. I started smoking cigarettes when I was a kid. I smoked cigarettes from the age of like, I don't know, 18 through 25. I knew they were bad for me. I knew, but it just didn't click. So there's that kind of person that doesn't wear a mask. They're young and they're dumb and whatever. But then there are some people that don't believe the coronavirus exists.
Yep.
And then there's some people that believe it exists, but it's not that bad. And then there's some people that believe it exists. It can be bad, but they will somehow be protected because of their special immune system. So it's like, who the fuck are these people? They all have different reasons for making the same shitty decision.
Yeah, I was at the post office today, and I'm wearing a mask, and most of the people, it's always like a mixed bag when I go there. Like, most of the employees wear it, some don't, which I don't get. Because if I'm around people, like, an asshole going to the post office not wearing a mask is one thing, because, like, depending on the line or anything, it might be 1 minute or 20 minutes, But the people who work there all day and have to deal with every goddamn person in existence coming to the post office, you're being exposed to, like, so much shit. Why would you not want to have like any protection? I will never understand that when I go into retail operations and they're not wearing a mask. I'm like, you are a daredevil, sir. You know, like there's people who play Russian roulette or climb rocks or something like that. You are living the deadliest game.
Yeah.
And I don't think they even acknowledge that. Like, if they survive this in 5 years from now, they should look back and be like, holy shit, I was a huge risk taker.
Right.
Like, I lived on the edge. I literally, like, I let people come in. It's like, all right. So this one guy wasn't wearing a mask, but he was talking about the Lambda variant or something, which is another variant. Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Lambda
right.
variant.
I have heard of this. Yeah.
Basically, like the Delta variant. It's not, oh my God, like, it's still the
They
same.
should have called it the Lambda variant in honor of the fraternity from Revenge of the Nerds.
Right. And then Lamar would come out and tell everybody.
Hilarious.
Come on, everybody, and clap your hands.
Yeah. Yeah. That movie's aged so well.
Oh, it is. I'm gonna watch it with my kid later. Yes. I highly recommend watching Revenge of the Nerds. There's nothing wrong with that movie.
Right. Yeah.
It aged like a fine wine.
It really did.
Do not watch this movie.
No, it's horrifying. It's a horror movie now.
Yeah, it's literally a horror movie now. Like it is not aged well.
Nothing about it. Well, anyway, so the guy in the post office.
Yeah, he was like somewhat scared. But I have no idea if he's vaccinated or not. Yeah. No mask. I've seen this guy in the post before. No mask. And I'm like, dude, if you're worried about it, there's one thing you could do, and it's super easy. Is wear a fucking mask. Like that I don't get. The ones who are like the people who think it's not real, or they just believe every conspiracy about it, like
right.
Most people. But if you have like a general concern, like, oh, I don't want to end up like in the hospital, I don't want to do this. I mean, you have one thing you can at least do, which is when you go into an indoor public space, is wear a mask. Like, you're better, even if you think it doesn't. You have like at least depending on the quality of mask. Even the shittiest mask, you got like a 50% chance better than the person not wearing a mask. And if you have a KN95, that's the best mask you could wear.
I was gonna say, like, I went to PetSmart the other day. I needed pet food for.
You get some goat. Get some vermectin.
I needed some fish ick treatment, which I use. A lot of people are now using the same treatment you use for ick in goldfish. Now, so anyway, I go there and I get all the way to the thing. I was doing a million things once, and I'm getting ready to walk to exit my car to walk to the store, and I'm like, I don't have a mask. I had no mask. Normally, I have a fresh mask by my car keys. I take it with me, and then that's just sort of my routine. For whatever reason, I didn't do that, and so I'm like, and it's like rush hour. The place looks packed, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to go up there, and if they have masks available, I'm going to go in, and if they don't, I'm just going to come back later. They had masks. Plenty of these places have masks.
They offer a mask, like one of those throwaway ones.
It wasn't a great mask. It was literally like the disposable, flimsy.
Those are actually better than like a gator.
It's fine. Look, I was in the store for 15 minutes tops. Probably less. Stayed away from people. Put the mask on. It fit fine. It had like a little metal thing that you can kind of like
pinch it on your nose.
Yeah. Right? So I don't know. I mean, I don't get that excuse for not wearing a mask because. And then after I used it, I looked around. Walmart sells a box of masks out front. Plenty of these places have free masks. You can grab a couple, if you want. So
the guy well, good. But like I said, I don't understand the logic of some of these people though, who like I said, the ones who don't take it seriously or don't give a shit. Whatever, fuck you. I don't care. Yeah. But the ones that like claim they do, I'm like, you can just put on a mask, but it's gonna. I mean, is it gonna stop you from getting COVID? No, but the chances go way lower. It'd be like taking that Russian roulette gun and changing it to a 20 chamber or a 30 chamber.
Well, honestly,
100 chamber. I mean, that one You might be lucky and get that bullet, but you know.
Well, all of these things are, um, you're trying to minimize your risk. I mean, if you leave your home, if anyone in your home leaves your home, you are at some risk, you know,
Yeah.
and you maybe start out at like 0.0001% risk. And then you can work your all the way up to like 100% risk where you're like, you know, licking the glass of an Applebee's salad bar.
I love that. Do they have a salad bar?
I don't know. But
I don't think they do, buddy.
maybe not. But somewhere between, you want to try to stay on the lower end of risk. And there's a bunch of shit you can do. There's a bunch of real common sense, non-invasive, non-headachy things you can do to keep your risk pretty low. Greg Abbott is fighting every one of those.
Yeah.
He has mandated that you can't, public entities can't mandate vaccines. Which presumably there's some state hospitals out there that can now not, they can't make their employees get vaccinated.
That's insane. That is totally insane. Anyone in the medical field that won't get vaccinated is a fucking piece of shit. I'm sorry. You're supposed to be a person that's supposed to take care of people and you won't even get vaccinated. Fuck you. You suck. I'm sorry. Like, that is disgusting. Like, you're supposed to be a medical expert. I wouldn't trust you with, like, I'd trust the guy who at the post office who's concerned but won't wear a mask. I trust him because at least he's taking it somewhat seriously.
Well, I'll tell you that the weirdest thing that I've kind of like, I've realized this for a while, but that's really struck home for me, especially what you're saying here, is that these like QAnon death cultists or magachuds, they've infiltrated society. They really have. They are.
Well, they didn't infiltrate it. They were already in it.
Yeah, but I think some of them specifically go into this field with the notion that they're going to do stuff. You know what I mean?
I could see some of that over the past year. I'm sure there's been,
yeah,
especially,
you know,
especially school boards.
Well, look, I know there's a ton of people that go into teaching, and you pin them down, you ask them why, or you catch them in an unguarded moment, and why'd you get into to spread the gospel?
Yeah,
that's why they got into teaching, because it's a good opportunity to evangelize. Or you ask them like, well, why'd you get into nursing or whatever? Well, I can spread the gospel this way. You know, that's like, that's
when Roger was in kindergarten in our school. One of the, I don't know if this person works there anymore, the music teacher or whatever, but like they started doing like basically hymns in the music class.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, ew. Like, yeah, shit like that. I mean, like, you tell me that's not intentional, get the fuck out of here. Like, you're totally doing that on purpose. So the funny thing about Abbott, it's not funny, it's horrible, but what Abbott's doing, the weirdest thing, we talked about this, was like last week he got COVID.
Yeah.
He's fine. I mean, he was fully vaccinated. If anything, he also got like the booster shot.
I think he had a third dose.
Before that. Yeah. Probably got it before it was able to give him what he needed to affect it. But regardless, and then they put him on Regeneron like immediately. So who knows if he showed him symptoms or not. Right. He's fine. He's doing okay. He's fine. You know, can he say the same about everyone else? No. You would think you know, it's like the end of the movie, right? The end of the movie, and Scrooge McDuck found his lucky dime. And no, I'm sorry. Scrooge wakes up after the dream.
Yeah.
And he like understands the value of Christmas or something.
Right.
And he learned his lesson about and good cheer, right? And you think like, oh hey, this is a life, or the Grinch, his heart grew 3 times its size.
Sure.
And then it exploded and he died because he had
just like the Hulk. Just like the
Hulk. And we'll get to that later.
Yes.
So you think like the rational, like people are like, oh yeah, maybe Greg Abbott will come out ahead and he'll be like, you know what, guys, you really should get vaccinated, and you know, getting COVID has taught me a lesson how dangerous this virus is, and I think everyone should wear a mask too. Yeah. No, it's not what happened. It's not what happened at all. No. Like triple down on his shitty anti-mask mandate and still doesn't really push vaccines.
No,
not really. It's super fucked up. Super fucked up. Matthew McConaughey said something.
Yeah.
He tweeted. Is this you have it right here, right?
Yeah.
Glad you're not. He went, all right, because that's what he does.
Yes.
Yeah. He said, glad you're now testing negative for COVID, Governor Abbott. Thank you for mentioning that the vaccination you received made your infection brief and mild. Health to you, Cecilia, Texas, and beyond. Mask, vax, and just keep living, McConaughey.
Right.
Okay, thanks, Matt. I mean, I'm glad he tells people. Like,
sure. It could have been much worse.
So supposedly Matt McConaughey might run for governor.
Yeah, that's what they're saying.
I feel like this tweet though does not send that message.
No.
I don't feel like it sends that message. I don't know. I kind of wish he would be a little more blunt and say, if he was running for governor, I wish he'd be a little more blunt and say, I hope you would come out of this knowing that masks, getting vaccinated, and pushing vaccines and pushing the masks is what's going to help us Texas get through this.
Yeah.
So we could keep on living. McConaughey.
Right. Yeah.
So they got this tepid whatever. I don't know. I don't have much to say about it. Guy's a rich, handsome celebrity.
Yeah.
Given everything in life. This guy lives in a fucking bubble. Does he know that, maybe he's aware? I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. I just think he's misreading the conversation. The conversation isn't mask, vax, and just keep living. The conversation is what should we do policy-wise to get a handle on this virus? Just keep living kind of, to me, suggests find your comfort zone and go
right.
with it.
You should mask and vax, but keep on living too, man. I'm not here to tell you what to do,
right.
bro.
Yeah, it was Trump's message after Trump started getting booed. Well, Trump gets out there and he's talking about how.
We'll add some context to that.
Okay. Yeah,
Trump gave did one of his rallies in a sundown town. I guess it's a former sundown town. They don't really. I don't think there's any active sundown towns. Do you know what a sundown town is?
Yeah. Where you couldn't person of color couldn't spend the night there. They need to get out by sundown.
They could work there, but they better get the hell out of there.
Right, by
sundown. Sun goes down, and they would do all kinds of horrible things.
Yeah,
it's basically lynching towns and everything. Trump did his rally at a famous sundown town in Alabama. Good guy, good people. Yeah. And during his rally, I guess Trump must have got bonked on the head, or maybe was off script, or just kind of forgot who he's dealing with, and who the people that he appeals to, his brand of politics and speaking and everything, and his presidency, the kind of people that he appeals to. I think he just completely forgot. He told everyone to get vaccinated. He said he was vaccinated.
Right.
And everyone loved it, and they said, "You got it, Trump." And they all lined up and got vaccinated.
No, that's not what happened.
No.
He said he started, and this is like classic Trump. He's pretty good at reading the crowd, although they made it easy for him by showering him with booze. He said, you should maybe think about getting vaccinated.
I got vaccinated.
Yeah. And immediately he was met with boos, and he quickly shifted his tune pretty adeptly. I mean, he shifted, maybe not, whatever, do what you want. It's all good.
He said he was all for people's freedom.
Yeah.
That you need to get your vaccinated, and that he was vaccinated and he got it a while ago and he's fine. So he's trying to stress, you guys are concerned about these side effects.
Right.
I'm vaccinated. I'm fine. I've been vaccinated since January, and he probably had a booster shot before he went out.
I'm sure. Yeah.
And they probably just sticking in him, right through his coat.
Right. He's probably got a stent, it's just
They just inject him all the
going
time.
directly into his brain.
Yeah.
Um,
So it's like a permanent hole. You get
yeah,
a little piece of
a
plastic.
stent. Yeah, stent is like
RoboCop, where they can
they
just plug in,
yeah,
stick a
his port.
stick a jack in him.
We're gonna bathe your brain in the vaccine serum.
So he tells, and everyone boos, and then he's like, "Oh, yeah, do what you want," whatever he
Yeah.
said. It was like, "Oh yeah, if you don't want it, that's fine, whatever. Just listen, I'm just here to sell some merchandise. Just guys, just buy the merchandise. All right. I mean, you dumb fucks don't want to get vaccinated. Like, listen, I'm getting kind of tired of this grift."
They honestly, they probably pulled him aside, or someone had said to him, like, look, Alabama is getting decimated by the coronavirus. I mean, they've been,
yeah, it is.
They are. They're like this. They're the buckle on the corona belt.
The whole basically the entire Dixie is fucked.
Yeah. Well, I like Alabama in particular. They rank dead last in a number of categories, like shoe usage, toilet paper sales, indoor plumbing. Like, there's a bunch of stuff.
They have 32 teeth in Alabama.
Right.
In the whole state, 32 teeth.
Dentists per capita, GED scores. There's a whole bunch of stuff that they write. They have the fewest number of hits on the ancestry.com results page. It's like 6
Straight
people.
Line.
Yeah. So
all the way back to Robert E. Lee.
Yeah.
Straight line to great grandpa Lee.
Right. They only recognize 23 letters in the state of Alabama.
I'm missing this joke.
But they also rank like near last in coronavirus vaccinations. And so it's no wonder that statistically, so someone probably pulled Trump aside and said, like, look, we're in danger of like losing Alabama, like, to the virus.
Even though they basically got these people all corralled.
Yeah.
You see right. The pens that these motherfuckers will come on your, like, anytime I posted like something with my like mascot or casket, I would get like inundated with comments and people calling me a sheep, right?
Yeah.
And the best part was, and I think it's hysterical when you got everyone repeating that you're a sheep from people. It's ironic, like
it is.
And they all think they're clever when they do it. It's really funny. It's not, it's horrible. But I saw a picture of them corralled in pens at the Trump rally, and then someone showed a picture of sheep corralled in pens. These guys are so So yeah, I'm just gonna read this. And I've heard about this for a while now. We talked about that woman who runs the hate group in TTP.
Right, True Texas Project.
Julia Mephistopheles, I think.
I forget her. It's Julie or Julia. It's something
McNaughty.
Yeah, there's a couple Julies out there. There's one that's real big on the January 6th, and I always get her mixed up with the Texas one.
Well, I posted, she posted, she got COVID and she got bad.
Yeah.
And she, of course, is anti-vax.
Yep.
Anti-mask.
Yep.
Refuse it, even after almost dropping dead of COVID.
She posted a homemade recipe for hydrochloroquine.
Yeah, which was like basically lemonade or something. Like a delicious beverage that
it looked really good. Yeah. It was.
I'm sure I would take out like one or two of the astringent ingredients.
No, but you mix that with a little vodka, and you've got like a refreshing summer cocktail.
That's true. Yeah, right. Throw some vodka in there, and it just changes it a little bit. A little umbrella-ness, sit on your porch.
Yeah.
Perfect summertime drink. Thank you. They were talking. There were people in the comments talking about horse paste and Invectum, and going to the feed store and getting this and using dewormer, anti-parasitical.
Yeah. Oh.
Like stuff you literally use for animals. These stupid fucks won't get the vaccine. They won't wear a mask.
Yeah.
Right? But they'll go to the feed store
Fucking Tractor Supply Company.
and get something that you would use on a sheep or a horse
Yeah.
and inject yourself with it. And the thing is, like, you would think, like, oh, okay, maybe people come out, Republicans will come out and say you shouldn't do that. No, they didn't. Ron Johnson was pushing it today or the other day. Joe Rogan was pushing it. Jimmy Dore was pushing it.
It is crazy. It is absolutely crazy. And I see like reasonable people arguing like, well, why can't we experiment with this? And like, I don't know. I don't even know.
Experiment with acid too. What the fuck? Stupid thing to say. So I tweeted this: refuses to take a life-saving vaccine and calls anyone that does a sheep. Gets COVID and uses ivermectin, which is for sheep, to treat your symptoms. LOL. It is like, it's the kind of shit that, like, it's a comedy.
It is.
It makes me think of a Jim Gaffigan joke where the person's like, I'm not going to get vaccinated. Yep. And then the other voice, I'm going to get a sheep dewormer instead. It's like.
It's so weird. Like, if you heard of someone who had, like, I don't know, like a rare form of cancer, and then they read a paper from like an obscure medical college in Syria that said horse dewormer can, of course, that person's going to try any treatment they can. And I kind of get that, even though they never work and whatever. Right? But these people, there's a perfectly good way to prevent the coronavirus. And there's perfectly decent ways to treat the coronavirus once you have it. I mean, they're mostly palliative, but their whole shtick is that they're distrustful of those things.
They're distrustful of masks.
Yep.
They could get for free at most retail places that will hand it to them. They could literally build up a collection that way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then they could literally walk into any place and get a vaccine. But no, these stupid, for free.
But you're going to trust, like,
I'm going to go to the feed store and buy up the whole shelf of fucking sheep drench.
See, if you think that the protections for human medicine are loose, could you imagine what sort of nightmarish protections are present for sheep medicine? They feed sheep other sheep. That's like no big deal. They like feed these animals each other. They are their livestock. There's no, for all we know, the sheep medicine's killing the sheep too. It's like,
like if you think like human FDA like doesn't do a good job of like there's like an acceptable amount of horse feces in like canned chili or something like that. I mean, it's like, or no, rat hair. There's like an acceptable amount, right?
Right.
It's a little looser when it comes to pet food.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this: it's even looser when it comes to the food. Like these animals are being raised to become food. They're not looking for their long-term health. If they're giving a sheep medicine, it's not to get that sheep into old age. It's to get that sheep ready to. The goal is not to promote long-term health.
I hope Dolly lives a long life. Right. No, I hope that it doesn't die and then also kill off the other sheep.
Their big concerns are: will it affect their taste? Like,
I commented too in this Facebook thing. We get the Denton County Health thing.
Oh yeah.
I didn't say anything today, but yesterday I wrote something and I said, geez, these numbers are awful. People refuse to get vaccinated, but will use ivermectin instead. I just put a face, a goofy smile, and then head explosion emoji.
Yeah.
This one guy goes, are you saying how bad it is and cracking some kind of joke after? I said, you mean how the virus is getting worse because people refuse to take a life-saving vaccine because they don't trust it, but gets COVID and is willing to use a product made for sheep and horses to treat their symptoms? It sounds funny, but that is what's going on.
It's 100%.
What?
That's 100% what's going on.
And then this person, right? You do realize numerous medicines exist that are used in humans and animals, correct? And you do realize medicines have off-label uses, correct? This virus isn't getting worse. It's just not going away. And we still have flare-up of cases without the vaccine. You know what's not going up? Mortality rate. And then I wrote, people are vaccinated. That's why the death rates have gone down. The people dying of COVID are the unvaccinated. You could call me a big city snob, but I don't go to the feed store for my human medicine. I mean, call me a snob, a latte drinking elitist.
Right.
But I refuse to go to the feed store for my medicine. It's just.
Well, I have a friend who's a veterinarian in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and she was posting on Facebook with the names redacted and everything, but a ton of random emails she gets from complete strangers asking if she'd be willing to prescribe them that horse dewormer. Just people like cold calling, like seeing if the vet will.
Can you give me some of that cock medicine that's used for cocks? And I'm talking about the chicken cock, not the kind of cock.
Right. I'm not talking about that little blue pill. I'm talking
about the one you use for them cockadoos.
Fuck.
Sir,
it's.
What are you talking about, sir?
It's baffling. It is really.
And again, I guarantee you, it started. I've heard about this for a while. And it was going. Brett Weinstein, one of these intellectual dark web douchebags, was like talking it up. He pushes like anti-vax stuff. These are people that go on Rogan a lot. Rogan was talking about it. I guarantee you, just like the Regeneron, there's probably motherfuckers there who are like have stock in this This stuff is getting like bought out. Like there's sheep that are like, I need this. So like order. And you guys are taking it. It's like the comedy never ends with these fucking people. It's like last year it was a hydroxychloroquine.
Yep.
And people were literally buying like fish tank cleaner.
Yeah.
Because the ingredients of hydroxychloroquine were in there. Or they were injecting themselves with bleach because Trump said something stupid. But again, I know that bleach shit I've heard that they use that on autistic kids and like really like quacks and shit. Yeah. I used to hear about this stuff like Dan doctors are called. And it's all this like, we'll cure your kid of autism with bleach. And there's people that do it. It's disgusting, or like all kinds of crazy shit. And Trump he didn't just pull that out of his ass when he said,
right. Yeah.
That was like a real thing that these fucking idiots do. And he just kind of brought it to the light, and people were like, that's so dumb. I can't believe that. And if you look into it, you realize, no, people do that. It's like the same thing with like the solar, whatever they call it, like putting like.
Oh, yeah. UV lights and stuff like that. Yeah.
But this is getting like the whole hydroxychloroquine is ridiculous. They still bring it up to this day. That fucking lady who made her lemonade.
At least that's a human, right?
Her lemonades, her summer shandy / hydroxychloroquine.
At least it's a human medicine, though. I mean, like, look, there are instances where you like one thing. You discover a different use for a drug. You know what I mean? Like the famous one was Wellbutrin was a drug they used to use for depression, and then they found out kind of accidentally that it also helps people stop smoking. And so they would sell it under another name for a smoking cessation product. I forget.
It was probably a different dose.
Probably. Sure.
It was measured differently, marketed differently.
Well, it was priced differently too.
Priced differently, approved differently.
Yeah.
The thing is, this guy who makes his dumbass comment about like how there's animal and stuff like that, and he's right in that case. But going to the feed store and buying horse paste and injecting yourself is not the right thing to do. Well, that's just fucking stupid. And there's people getting sick. Again, it's just like last year, poison control got all these calls when people were injecting bleach or making their homemade hydroxychloroquine or whatever it was. And they were getting sick, or some of them were going to the emergency room and dying. And again, it's happening again. These idiots buying up all this stuff and injecting themselves with it. They don't understand. They're not like, you think these people are taking the correct dose? No. I saw one TikTok of a guy, and I was like, this has to be a joke. He was a joke. He said he got COVID, and he literally started injecting the sheep
Jesus
in his mouth, like the sheep paste, like basically like, like your dog or cat gets
thing,
and you open
the pill popper,
shove it in there, and or like it's a paste, and you get them. That's what he did, and I'm like, okay, this is not it. I don't think this.
Why didn't he just slip it into a hot dog or something? It's
like a fucking mustard on a hot dog. I'll put a little drop of this.
Wrap it in peanut butter
on top of my wiener. Kick it down. Like, I'm sorry. Again, this bullshit. Like, oh, we're leftist elites, or we're this or that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I don't go to the feed store for my human medicine. I guess I'm a big snob. And I'll take that back. The whole thing, like the latte drinking and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like where we live, there's a lot of fucking conservatives, and they're the ones that go to brunch all the fucking time.
Yeah.
They're the latte drinkers. I always think that's like really funny. I think when you wrote your teaming the mortality rate regarding COVID, or the mortality rate regarding a horse drugs people are taking instead of just getting the vaccine.
Yeah.
It's the real thing I said today. I mean, that's the other, again, life-saving vaccine.
Yeah.
I don't want to take that. Oh, did you say that there's a sheep drench in the feed store? Okay, I'll take that instead.
Yeah. It is remarkable. There's a big overlap of like natural, like alternative medicine people that are real into this. Like they don't want the free vaccine, but they're perfectly willing to try a charcoal enema. Or something
pay
like
I don't even know what that goes for, because I don't remember the last time I got one. What the hell's a charcoal?
I just made it up. It's probably not a real thing.
No, that's what I mean. Like they're probably like paying I'm sure sheep drench or whatever isn't that expensive, but still, it's like, again, you could just go get your vaccine, asshole.
Yeah.
Oh, but I might get like blood clots and all these other things that I just made up.
Well, yeah. Well, here's and there's.
Well, like I said, it is a perfect circle, right? Like they call us sheep for getting the vaccine.
Yep.
And they were literally taking a
sheep medicine,
anti-parasitical thing they use to treat sheep. Is just fucking irony is dead.
Well, this is kind of the tail end of the coronavirus thing, and we can jump back to other things related too. But one of the things, and I've seen this a lot lately, one of the things that's kind of wrapped into coronavirus, but also into like economic inequality and stuff like that, is that a lot of places are having trouble finding people to work. They just are. My kid loves Red Robin French fries.
Red Robin, what? I got a frozen bag of them at Walmart the other day.
Oh, really?
I threw them in the air fryer, and they tasted.
Did they taste comparable?
They tasted better than.
All right, I'll check that out.
Times I would get it when I would go to that place.
Well, anyway,
they closed down.
Did they close down for good?
Oh, I don't know. I thought they were closing down. They didn't?
Well, we went there. My kid did real well at a karate tournament, and I said, cool, you get to pick wherever you want to eat. We'll swing by, grab it, take it home, because I want to eat in the place. You
didn't eat it in there? You just took it home?
No. Well, here's the thing. We drove up to the store, and there's a big sign that says we're closed today due to staffing problems. They didn't have enough staff to work, and I hear stories about this quite a bit. After we did that, we went to Chili's, and we were going to get takeout at Chili's. Chili's had a big sign up that said, hey, there's a long wait today. We only have X amount of staff. And my wife's like, what the hell's going on? And we never did find out for sure, but
it was that one stimulus check that people got. They got one stimulus check, and they were like, I don't need to work ever again.
Right. They were all smoking doobies out back.
They were smoking banana peels in the back.
Well, it's like a big mix. Like, look, you have
Biden pays the way now with this $1,000 that I stretched out unrealistically for the past
Joe Moneybags.
yeah. Smoking doobies.
So you see a couple things happening here. One is restaurant work pays very poorly.
It can, yes.
You know, the people that are eating at restaurants have become very demanding and are sort of argumentative, and
especially during COVID.
Yep.
They feel like their way of life is constantly under attack.
Yep. And 3, you have a deadly virus that's putting a lot of people at risk for serious harm. So
it's those customers that are deadly virus are putting those people at risk.
Yeah. So you have all these things going on, and we have like a new kind of economy where someone could probably make money, driving an Uber or doing some work online.
Off on OnlyFans. That's not a joke. That's not a joke.
No.
There are people who are like, especially if they're good looking guy or girl, there's people who are like, you know what? They grew up on the internet.
Yeah.
They don't have the same social stigma, like past thing. I know recently, which I thought was kind of funny, supposedly like OnlyFans or something like that had a thing where they were getting rid of sexual content.
Right.
And this thing I said, OnlyFans getting rid of sexual content. It's like basketball getting rid of the ball. Like, what do you mean? But I heard that they just can't have it can't be porn. You can't be.
No, they reversed it this morning.
Oh, they did?
Yeah. That was a trending topic on Twitter early this morning, just the word reversed. And I thought it was
I didn't even look that up. I try to avoid some of those because sometimes those trending topics are terrible. And there's tweets that have the same word.
Yeah, that's true.
Nothing to do with whatever's trending. And it takes me, and I'm like, I'm done. I can't.
I thought for sure it was going to be a court case, like something got reversed. So I clicked on it, and it was OnlyFans. You know what? The first thing it's funny. The first thing I thought was that now restaurants will never get people to work there. When OnlyFans said that they weren't going to allow pornography, I'll bet you every restaurant owner in the country was like, who are you going to come back?
I heard every right-wing asshole say that.
Yeah.
Every right-wing asshole is literally there was some right-wing asshole who was like, oh, now I'll get service at the restaurant. It's like, fuck you, lady. I don't want to serve you. But they reversed it. Supposedly it was they got pressured from some evangelical group or some shit.
I don't know.
It was there was a lot of factors involved, but I guess OnlyFans was like, oh wait, we literally exist.
Yeah, this is our only source of income.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm joking about that, but there's people who have found ways to make money. There's artists who have found ways to make money using the internet. Like yours truly.
Yeah, honestly, I mean,
no, I was kidding.
Well, so
even goats have found a way to make money. Right? We on YSGOAT, we don't make any money, but the goat somehow has found a way.
But right. But it's true.
Theoretical goat that's on this podcast.
It's not that people don't want to work.
No, there's a lot of factors involved.
It's that the coronavirus has made. I mean, people don't want to be forced to work in these awful conditions, sometimes life-threatening conditions.
Yeah, I remember last year hearing a restaurant in Dallas or something where the owner basically told none of the waiters were allowed to wear masks.
Right.
This is pre-vaccine. This was when no one even knew things were still shut down or starting to open up again slowly. Abbott opened up very fast. And he basically, I don't know whatever happened to that story or anything like that, but the waiters were basically, you're not allowed to wear a mask. It was so you're not even protecting the staff because it's more important that you put on a facade for your customer. You don't give a fuck about your staff at all.
Well, I know that often, and I get it. We've talked about this before too. If you own a restaurant and these shutdowns are brutal, they put a person out of business or whatever, but you would think that would give them even more impetus to champion common sense safeguards.
No, that's not how people act.
I know, but you would think Greg Abbott, you would think he'd be look, if we all get vaccinated if we all wear masks,
we could have the freedoms that Texans enjoy.
Yeah, things will go back to normal before you know it. They really will.
COVID. He gave a speech when he got COVID, and what he said in it was this half-ass like, "I was vaccinated, and that might be the reason why I'm okay."
Yeah.
And then he moved on to whatever, and it's like, I'm glad he said he was vaccinated.
Sure.
What I might be, you're still adding just a tint, like everything a politician says has valid. Almost every, especially a politician like Abbott. He doesn't. Everything he says is premeditated.
Oh yeah,
and if he really meant it, he would have said, "Only reason why I did not, get sick is because I was vaccinated."
Yeah.
Now I implore everyone to get this.
It's real easy.
This is incredibly deadly. Delta variant has a higher chance. I think we should all mask up. We can all enjoy our freedoms as Texans if we mask up and vaccinate, and then we could get through this together, and then we could have a big old fucking jamboree at the sheep barn. Fucking cheap pays for everyone.
And honestly, if he did it correctly, he probably wouldn't even have to mandate it. He probably could coax everyone along,
Make it a cultural thing and just be like, no, but he won't, because shit chuds like that lady in the TTP who feed him because he's not a big enough ghoul.
Right.
Just so a bigger size. We're at the mercy of Abbott not losing a primary to like Alan West, who's a big is a fucking grifter chud. Like that guy's never going to run for governor. But all it does is it forces Abbott to go further to the right, and also Texan right-wing governors always like to defy the Democratic president. It's kind of like a tradition. Rick Perry threatened Obama he was going to succeed from the country like 18 times. Then there was like a disaster, and it was like hands out were for money. Didn't you say you were going to succeed? No, just a joke. I say these things.
I meant succeed, like we were going to do very well together.
Succeed. I'm that good of a governor. But yeah, so there's a lot of factors involved. We'll move on after this about why are people not working. I mean, I wish I could find the TikTok. I would just play that. This guy.
He's talking about a resort community in Colorado.
So this guy's walking in this small resort town in Colorado, talking about how beautiful it is and everything. And he's going on about how all the restaurants in the area, places he likes to go to, are not operating or limited hours because they don't have workers. And people are like, well, why are they not working? Now, the chuds will say because we're just Joe money bags gave them so much money, which is complete bullshit. That's not what happened. Fucking $1,000, $1,200 or $1,600 people got paid someone's rent that month.
If that.
Yeah. I mean, did it help people? Yes, it did. But that is not the reason why people are not working. No, I'm sorry. They're not smoking doobies in the back of the Chili's. Oh, they're smoking doobies in the back of the Chili's either way when they're working, right? Either way, it doesn't matter. Like, where's my fries? Hold on, man. Rolling a fat one. I'll get you steak fries in a minute, but
I'm getting fries right now. You know what I mean?
Like, and come back, his eyes are just completely. Don't worry, man. I don't got conjunctivitis. I'm just high as fuck. So he said, like, one, real estate's an issue. Rich people who bought a second home in this area, bringing up the prices, basically making it impossible for people that work minimum or wage or above job to really live there. So that's a problem right there. We don't even have a $15 minimum wage. I don't know what this deal with Colorado is, but I know in Texas, especially in restaurants, I know in California, if a restaurant does not perform or has a slow staff or whatever, and the waiter did not get tips, the restaurant has to pay the state or whatever it is minimum wage in the meantime. Which I think the fact that waiters and everything get paid
that's ridiculous.
Is ridiculous. Not in Texas though. They don't have that here. So if the restaurant's slow, the worker just gets like, I don't know, whatever in the $3 they're making. And so, well, yeah, there's people like, fuck this. I'm not gonna. It costs me more to work here than it does, and they find ways to make money. They also, yeah, they don't want to work during a pandemic. The guy
Right.
brings it up too. Like, no one want like if there is a job that is the most deadly. I mean, there's deadly jobs everywhere, like working in a hospital is incredible, especially during a
Sure.
pandemic, especially in the beginning when they had like no uh you remember you
Nope.
would see like people wearing like garbage bags and they
Yeah.
would like the same mask for a week. There were like nurses that died in the beginning of COVID because they were not getting any relief, any help. But the cops, like during the George Floyd, you would see them like old fucking to the nine, armored up, and you're like, why didn't you give some of that shit to the
Yeah.
fucking the hospital? Um, yeah, the guy, and so yeah, I'm supposed to work in this dangerous job, basically feed, fucking waiting tables for assholes, and get paid very little. And I can't afford to live in this area either because
Yeah.
it's too rich. Because Airbnb people, a bunch of Airbnb people. That's the other thing too. They said like real estate in a lot of areas have gone up just because of things like Airbnb. People
Yeah.
buying up properties so they can rent them out.
Yeah. It's something. I remember where I lived in Florida. It was a beach community. It was super. Everything was super expensive. We bought our house before prices really started going up, but like the value of our house doubled like within a couple months. I mean, it was just crazy when people started snapping up properties. They couldn't find teachers, or they could find teachers, but the teachers couldn't live. They
Yeah,
couldn't they
we got
couldn't
to
even
drive
rent.
2 hours to get to fucking. I mean,
Yeah,
some people do it, but
the hotels and the resorts and everything, they would literally build an apartment complex a couple, 30 miles inland, and they would put all their workers up there. That'd be part of their salary. You'd get a free apartment or whatever, but you'd have to ride a bus to and from the resort to
they
go
have like
like,
no life. You literally live
yep,
you're literally like
it's a company town.
yeah, you literally are you're practically a slave in a way.
It's well, it I mean, it wasn't like
No,
that.
but I
I
mean
mean,
think
but
about it. Like you work these long hours, you have like no free time to like the whole like I work 8 hours and then I drive home and I see my family or whatever and I do that, right?
yeah, well,
That's not these people. They're probably like working 12-hour shifts and they
it
literally
was
just get
creepy. And what you would find too is that you would have like secondary predators kind of working with them. So like if you're isolated and off in your own community, then convenience stores would open up nearby and all the prices would be crazy high, you
yep.
know? And you'd be like, well, because they didn't have personal cars, they relied on the bus. So if a convenience store opened up, then like cigarettes would be crazy expensive. And, like they'd sell loose cigarettes for a lot, and they'd sell chips and Mountain Dew, like a
Yeah, they're
2 liter.
totally taking advantage of the situation, and
Yeah.
it's a food desert, so they're getting
Yep.
malnutrition. Yeah,
Yeah. So it was awful. And it was the same dynamic. And the coronavirus is just kind of laying those things bare. I mean, it's really, really exposing a lot of these things that have been around for a while, but are
do you
being made
remember
worse.
beginning of the COVID when everything was shut down? One of the funniest things, I think it's funny. All these Airbnb schemers,
Yeah.
people who bought up like 20, like some guy brought up like 20 properties that like holy fuck, because that's the only way he's gonna be able to make his money back is if he
Right.
does Airbnb. That's how he's gonna pay him off, and he couldn't because there was
Yeah.
nobody traveling. And this, I didn't feel bad for that
No,
person.
not at all.
That's like I'm sorry. That's the kind of scheme that, like, yeah, I mean, if everything's perfect and fine, you'll probably make a ton of money. But oh
Well,
well, you played it. You played. That's a huge gamble right there.
yeah. Ugh.
Um. So yeah, I mean, this whole argument, oh, people don't want to work. There's a lot of factors. One, it costs too much to be in the area. Like you said, like, oh, even at $15 minimum wage, people still will not be able to afford to live
Oh
in it.
yeah, you can't. Yeah. I mean, like $15 minimum wage, if that were 15 times, let's say you work 40
What?
hours, and that's kind of a shot. So
And
that's
it's all before
600.
taxes.
That's 600 a week. So you're looking at, what is that? 600, 2,400 a month.
Yeah.
That you can't, geez, an apartment's going to cost you 1,500. There's half of it,
If you're maybe not in that, maybe in the neighboring town, it's 1,500.
yeah.
That area is probably more.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like if you look in some of the bigger cities, you're creeping up to $2,000
So
for an
where we
apartment.
live, there's no buses,
No.
first of all. So any of these restaurants and everything, people are gonna either have to have a car or
Or
know somebody that
Uber.
can
Yeah.
drive them. There's no buses in our area. They made sure of that.
Yeah.
And sorry, you just got to wait a little longer for your fries. I mean, there's a
Yeah.
lot of factors involved. I mean, like, get yourself an air fryer.
Yeah. Right.
I'm not kidding. There's people who make fun of people for having there's people who say like the air fryer is like this overrated thing, and they just want to be dicks and ruin people's like good times. But let me tell you, the air fryer is what we wanted them. I mean, you're a little older than me, but
Yeah.
like I
Yeah.
grew up on the microwave,
Right.
and nothing worse than like microwave fries.
Yep. Yeah. They're shit.
Yeah, it's like they would have like those trays that
The
would
crisping tray.
crisp them.
Yeah.
A little bit, not really.
Yeah.
They're still shitty.
Well,
Air fryer is what we wanted the microwave to be.
I'll tell you, prior to the microwave, we had the Fry Daddy. The Fry Daddy was essentially a bucket that plugged into the wall, and you put
Burn your
vegetable
house
oil in.
down.
Yeah. The fry, and then there's the Fry Baby, the Fry Daddy. I don't think there was a Fry Mama, but like it was just literally a bucket of oil, and you could
I
fry
never
shit.
had that, but I'm
Oh,
just saying that the air fryer is because not really. It's called a fryer. I think people will assume that like, oh, all I'm going to eat is fried food.
yeah.
That's not it. There's lots of methods and lots of cooking things you could do. But like I said, I feel like people don't realize like that that's what we wanted the microwave to be.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like an air fryer is, except I think it's kind of crispy and delicious. um, and that could be another factor.
Yeah.
People are like, I don't need to eat out. I got an air fryer.
Well,
now.
certainly Uber Eats and like Grubhub and stuff like that are a big factor in the decline of this too.
What do you mean?
Know. Well, in the decline of like people eating at restaurants and the shift for people not working for a company necessarily. I mean, like I know you work for Uber, but like you're kind of an independent contractor to some extent.
Yeah, you are. I mean, they made sure of that because
Yeah,
they want to help
legally, yeah.
But I'll say this though. I mean, you brought up those examples. I mean, I drive by places. I don't go to eat like in restaurants anywhere. Not in this area, and not during a pandemic. I'll take out stuff.
Yeah.
But there's like this one place that's always fucking packed. This one restaurant near us that like it's near. It's like on the way. It's on like I don't want to say the roads, but
yeah.
Hillside or something.
I know exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I know.
I went there before the pandemic, and it's okay. It's like above mediocre food. Above, I would call it. It's like it's priceless. That place always fucking packed. Yeah. I don't even get it. And like I said, I mean, fuck, if there was a place that loves COVID, it's got to be that place.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it is weird. The whole culture of eating out. I always look at like I was looking at a map of New York City the other day, and there's a street, and it just like fucking restaurants everywhere. Like every storefront was a restaurant.
Yeah.
And I was like, I remember when I lived in not a big city like New York, but when I lived in big cities, like I would go out to eat often. Like it was just that's how you ate.
Yeah, that's what we did when we lived in like Astoria and all that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you go out to eat rather than cook. It's unusual to cook. You do that maybe on the weekends or whatever. It's a weird cultural thing. I mean, I know it's changing. It'll be interesting to kind of see how it changes further.
Well, I said I think the reality is that there's all these people complaining and saying like no one wants to work. That's not the truth. No,
right. It's not the truth.
No, and I also don't believe some of these companies. I think some of these companies are liars. I think they want their staff to be small.
Yeah.
They don't want to pay people. And then they'll cry and lie and say, like, oh, no one wants to work here. And it's like, I've worked for too many companies that are like, we like to work lean and mean, which means a small staff.
Yeah.
And even the idea of adding one person sounded like they were like the company was going to go bankrupt. I mean, it was like ridiculous how I just don't believe that. I think that's a lie. I think that I still think that some of these places, I'm not saying all, for just knowing how to deal with people who own companies like that. And this is a great opportunity to make that claim now because it is happening. But again, people are finding other ways to make money.
Right.
And that's, I thought it was funny with that again, some of those assholes being like, now you have to go back to waiting my table, like to the OnlyFans people.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
Like, you classist fuck, you know?
Yeah. Like OnlyFans is the only place where you can be a cam girl. That's just not.
I mean, I have no idea, Joseph. I don't.
Wow.
Territories.
Well, all right. Well, let's shift gears to the next topic, and this isn't a huge one, but we were gonna talk about the
bachelorette rates have gone up.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about the January 6th stuff, and one of the first things that you had brought up, and I saw this too, it was pretty funny, is that Mo Brooks, known seditionist and terrorist sympathizer, got up in front of a crowd of his little
it was at the same rally, it was at the same Klan rally in Alabama that Trump ran, where Trump got booed for telling people to get vaccinated. Mo Brooks got booed for basically telling everyone to kind of just move on from the 2020 election. And
theoretically, his message was good. Like, we lost, it's over. Let's gear up for 2024. That's
like 2022 and 2024.
Right. Yeah. That's the correct message. That's the message I'm afraid of as like a progressive or whatnot.
I wish they said that. I mean, if they were smart, they should have said that back in December.
Yeah.
But they lost in November.
They promised that Trump would get reinstated and that there'd be an investigation and the Kraken would be released and this, that, and whatever. And none of it ever came to fruition. And now they're like, well, let's forget all about that and work towards giving us money for our next run, and Trump's supporters, they don't want to hear it. Well, that's what they need too. They don't want to hear it.
I mean, the problem is that these idiots trained their supporters, especially the most ardent ones that go to these rallies, to basically not trust elections. I guarantee there's a percentage of those people who are like, I'm never going to vote again. Well, because my vote has no meaning. I guarantee you some of them are like, there's got to be a couple of them there who are like that. They're just like, I will never vote against because my man Trump lost.
Yeah.
I know he won. They said he did.
They still think anyway. So Mo Brooks said, we got to move on from 2020 and look forward to 2022, 2024. Yep. And all his little chuds booed him. They don't want to hear that. They still want to stop the steal, and put President Trump back in office.
Right. I think they announced the new date. It's supposed to be the end of the year or something like that. Oh, God. I don't know. They have like a new date.
Well,
it's Trump getting booed. I'm sure they're like, Alex Jones came out and said that Trump was an idiot.
Well, they do that, but then immediately, like within a day or two, they're like, no, Trump is a genius because
they got to go back on that because he is still their biggest.
Right.
He's like the name for them.
He's the brand. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all the parasites and the leeches that they don't like. Once Trump's gone, no one's gonna give a fuck about diarrhea and silk. Like no one's gonna, you know what I mean? Like all the Trump grifters. Vic Berger put out an amazing video about all the Trump grifters. It was really fucking funny. Yeah, like what happened to them, like what they're doing now, and they need Trump. Like Trump, they're gonna carry his corpse out when he's dead and just move him around. They might just get the animatronic from Disney World and just have him be at the rallies. They need, it's like he's the brand. They're nothing without him.
They really are. I mean, they've and that is the problem with like building your movement around a man, is that like it's tough to keep it going.
Especially one who's in his mid to late 70s, portly.
Has trouble with ramps and glasses of water.
Yep.
I
could drink water. Remember that when he showed he could drink water? What a moment. What a great moment in American history.
Profiles and courage. It is weird. So like a lot of stuff is going on in the background. I know we didn't mention this before, but Sydney Powell got a judgment handed against her today. She has to pay all of the state of Michigan's court costs.
Is that big Yeti woman?
She's like normal sized, I think. Oh, she's
isn't she like the one who's like, well, there's like the blonde lady. I forgot her name. She's the lawyer too. I think she's
right.
And then there's Sydney Powell. I think is like that. Just that. Never mind. She's just
kind of like a basset hound.
Yeah, she like that's a good.
She
play a banjo around her on a deck. Just sit on the porch with Sydney Powell.
Yeah,
she howled, play the banjo.
Well, she also got referred. She got referred for disbarment today. The judge put a referral.
Wait, she actually was on the bar.
Yeah,
I didn't think she was a real lawyer.
She's a real lawyer.
A con artist.
So that's happening. The January 6th Commission Select Committee has issued a whole host of requests for documents, and Trump has already come out and said he'll fight them, but he doesn't get to fight them anymore. It's Biden's decision. Biden's the office of the presidency now. So there's a lot going on, and it's kind of ratcheting up. And then you also have these January 6th defendants. A lot of them are getting slaps on the wrist, but there's like a decent number of them going to prison now. That co-founder, the Proud Boys, and
Rico Tario. Well,
yeah,
that's not for January 6th. He got. I think it was around that time they defaced a black church in DC and destroyed like a Black Lives Matter sign or something.
He got like 6 months,
18 months, or something. 180 days. I mean, it's nothing. He'll probably even get out early. Who knows? But it's like, imagine, like, dude, these guys are fucking. Like, there was a recent thing in Portland where the Proud Boys were like, doing, and then like they like flipped over like a disability van.
Yeah,
these guys are literal thugs.
Well, here's the thing, and there's this. I think it's Julie Kelly. Some right wing person on Twitter is always posting these sob stories about the January 6th.
Yeah, you told me about that.
Right. So today she posted one. Chris Worrell, I think his name was, and so. The first thing I do is like Google the name, okay, Chris Worrell, and it turns out, and this is always the fucking case, Chris Worrell is crying in jail. They had an interview of him where he like breaks down into tears. They won't let him get a haircut. They won't let him do this. They won't let him do that. All he wants to do is sing patriotic songs, and they won't let him do that. And he's just like sobbing away terribly. Turns out that like 6-7 years ago, he used to drive around Naples, Florida in a Hummer with a fake badge and a bunch of guns and pull women over and try to take them into custody. And he went to jail for that, you know?
These are like the weirdest, worst people.
All the worst people. Like, and then she keeps highlighting these people, and every one of them, it's like, oh yeah, they beat their wife. Oh yeah, they were
like doing like, is she like a psyop where she's like, I'm really concerned about them, but like she's actually exposing all of them.
I have no idea.
Reporters are like, other investigative journalists are like, oh wow, that's interesting. I'm gonna look this person up.
Right.
They found bags of kittens. They literally drowned a bag of kittens.
Yeah,
a month ago.
All of these people, like that she's profiling, wife beaters, stalkers, domestic violence. You know, they beat their kids. All of them are like
all around awful people. And if anything, the joke is that she's probably like helping them get a longer sentence.
That's it. And I've not texted. I've gone on Twitter and I've responded. I don't know why she hasn't blocked me, but I always kind of I play it like a little straight, and I'm like, look, this person that you're profiling is awful. He stalks women. He was arrested. He's a
romantic. He's trying to find a lady and marry him.
One of them last week.
What happened to romance, Joseph?
One of them last week had spent 8 years in jail, 8 years in prison for shooting his girlfriend's new partner. in the chest, attempted
Oh
murder.
God,
And I was like, I know for a fact that there's plenty of
that's illegal.
normal,
Last time I heard.
there's plenty of normal January 6th protesters out there. Now, they're not normal. They're freaks, magachuds. But like on paper, they're normal. Like there's plenty of like, oh, I'm a realtor with some crazy ideas. And then I went to a Trump rally and I got caught up in the moment. There are people like that out there. They should still go to jail and everything. But like, why aren't you featuring them? Why aren't you?
Yeah, like you're literally like,
these are the worst.
and they're all white. Like these are the kind of, the funny thing is, like, we're supposed to get sympathy for these people. These are the kind of people that would use that like Willie Horton ad.
Yeah.
Scare Willie Horton, who did whatever just as bad as any of these other people, right?
Right.
A good example, how they sell something is the right wing keeps pushing Ashley Babbitt and martyrizing this woman who is literally a domestic terrorist. She was there to kill politicians and destroy property. She was there as a literal soldier for the Trump
terrorist.
She was a domestic terrorist.
Even if you say she was, it doesn't matter. She was in a riot trying to break through a door and the cop had a gun and was pointing it at her and she kept doing it.
If the cop didn't do anything about it, then he didn't do it. He wasn't doing his job.
Yeah.
Did you see that they were like, they're going to reveal who he is?
He's going to come out and reveal himself.
That's a bad idea.
Well,
I don't know what he thinks is going to come out, but these people are psychotic.
I will say,
I'm saying like the people, because the thing is, this isn't like, okay, I shot this person, everything like that. The right wing has been martyrizing this woman for the past, since January 6th. Politicians, Trump, all of them, they constantly bring her up. They want her to get the same sympathy that George Floyd.
I know, it's crazy.
We talked about this. Like they are twisting. So it's like, you think this is bad with that lady, like trying to gain sympathy for like guy who shoots girlfriend's new partner in the chest, or drowns a bag of kittens, or stalks women with fake badges and shit. Like these are all horrible people. This woman was a horrible person. Like she was there to kill people. She put out, there's an insane rant that she put out like the day before. This lady was there to kill people, and the cop did his job. Now, people will say, well, are you okay with this and not that? I'm not okay with anyone getting killed. I don't think it's right. But you saw the video footage of like hundreds of chuds trying to break through a barrier.
That's what you get.
And if they did break through, there would have been more people that would have died. It's absolutely disgusting. And the fact that the right is martyrizing this woman, that just endangers this guy's life even more. And it's hysterical, again, how these people claim they care about law and order. They don't. They don't care about law and order.
No.
I mean, clearly they don't. January 6th was like one of the biggest, like, unlawful order. It's chaos.
It is crazy. I don't know how they reconcile all that in their head. You know, I mean, like,
they just need a name or something. Like I said, we brought up like the Terry Schiavo thing.
Yeah.
They just bring it up and they mythologize Terry Schiavo. It's like, dude, she's some poor woman who had an accident and she was in a coma. And her husband, grieving husband, should be allowed to move on in his life and wants to just let her go so she can like not suffer anymore on a breathing machine. They do this. And it's like Terry Schiavo couldn't speak, couldn't say anything.
Right.
And they create this character and they push it and they use it for whatever argument they want. Ashley Babbitt was killed doing what she loved, being a domestic terrorist. But the person that they are pushing is not her. They're pushing this like innocent woman who
Joan of Arc type,
who was a Trump supporter and her only person who was persecuted for being a Trump supporter. Remember that the one big thing Trump supporters, they love is they think they are the most persecuted people on because they know that he's a horrible person, and the fact that they support him is, I think they like somewhat know that. They know
that's a feature. They love that about him. They love that he's a counterpuncher. They love that he's profane. They love that he uses profanity in news
Well,
conferences.
the thing is, they think he speaks for them.
Yeah.
But he doesn't. He doesn't give a fuck about them. He corrals them in a pen at his rallies, unsafe, unvaccinated, makes a joke saying, yeah, you should get vaccinated. Haha, I'm just kidding. Buy a hat, you dumbass. I hope you brought money because I got merchandise to sell you. He doesn't give a fuck about his supporters at all.
Yeah. It is something.
So just to wrap this part up,
Yeah.
You said that their subpoenas are going out or something?
Well, they put out requests for information, and the deal is that if the requests aren't met, then they'll be followed up with subpoenas. So they put out a bunch of requests, like they wanted all communications between Trump and his staff about when to pull out the National Guard, or if they were going to declare martial law, or, you know, there's a bunch of stuff. So theoretically, the Biden administration now has control of those records, those email accounts. They should just be able to turn the shit over, frankly. You know, I don't either. I think it's going to be, I don't know. I guess I'm going to wait and see, because I see, if anything, right-wing freak shows ramping up, getting more violent, more bold in their language. We saw that lunatic pull his truck up to the Library of Congress the other day.
Last week. Yeah. He was there to blow it up, supposedly.
Yeah. And I think that we're going to see more and more of this, you know, and so they got to start dropping the hammer on people, or why would they ever stop?
Yeah. You just emboldening him. And like I said, I think the guy coming out admitting he was the one who did that, you know, subdued Ashley, right, what he did. I just think that's a bad idea. I don't know who's giving him that advice, and the fact that NBC is going to air it is just fucked up.
Well, my guess is that plenty of people already know, and that it's getting leaked. And I see all the time pictures of the person they think this guy is, with his name.
I just think it's absolutely disgusting that and he's gonna like try to be like apologetic or whatever and say, listen, you know, he's gonna explain the situation, all that stuff.
Yeah, he probably didn't want to shoot anyone that morning.
And the media is gonna like, whoever's interviewing him or whatever is gonna like, they're gonna like try to humanize her or something.
Yeah.
And like the fucking lady was there to kill people.
Yeah.
Treat her like the way you would treat any other fucking criminal.
Right.
In America. It's ridiculous. And so this guy, his life is going to just be, I don't know.
Maybe he'll sell a book. You know, seriously. I'll bet you
How I Did It. I was starting with OJ.
Right.
Like, How I Did It. Well, If I Did It. That was the other one. I always thought, didn't he make a book called If I Did It?
Something like that, yeah.
That's crazy. That's amazing. Like, who would, I don't even get that. If I did it, okay, you know, I just want to let you know I'm innocent. But if I did,
but hey, I had some thoughts about how I might have done it better.
Me, you ever want to kill your wife? You know what I mean, guys?
No,
OJ, because I'm not a murderer.
Well,
I just love his Twitter. You ever see his Twitter?
Yeah,
he gives like sage advice. Tell people get vaccinated. That's great.
Sure.
I mean, that's good on him. You know, he's like, listen, get vaccinated, guys. You know? Juice is loose.
God.
I think it's, I don't know. It's so weird.
Yeah.
Okay. I think we're.
Right.
Was there anything else? I think that was it on.
Yeah, that was it. We're going to talk briefly about What If and Woodstock 1999. I
think we'll talk about Woodstock 99 first.
All right, cool. Yeah.
So Woodstock 99 was a documentary that was on HBO, HBO Max. And if you're not familiar with Woodstock 99, in 1999,
yes,
which was a year that happened
a
while back, you know, numerical numbers each year moves. That's
sure.
how it works. We don't skip years. I mean, I guess we would like to skip a year sometimes. um, there was Woodstock in 1969, and then Woodstock in '94,
Yes.
and that was like a nice like 2 day festival that was clearly a cash grab to play off of the nostalgia of Woodstock.
Hmm.
Woodstock is like it's like people who boomers who attended Woodstock think they saved the planet because they attended a music festival.
Yeah, it was like their Live Aid.
But like they just did like a lot of drugs and like rolled around in the mud and got like E. coli or something.
Yeah, well, it was. I mean, Woodstock like was a pretty significant cultural moment. I think like later on they took a whole series of cultural moments and said, you know what would represent this well? Woodstock, and then that kind of had to
There
retro.
was like
They
a documentary that came out and it just like kind of glorified it.
Yeah, and there was a
Uh,
record that was real popular,
yeah,
and
it was a
um,
big event and they sold it. And then '94 there was another. They did one. They
yep,
had like a lot of bands that bridge. That were. It was like a good bridge of like
yes,
boomers to Gen X and Xennials or whatever. And but then Woodstock '99 came out, and then I didn't even know it was happening. I remember like hearing about it, and then like
uh-huh.
I remember hearing like after Woodstock '99 happened, there was like massive chaos. And I remember watching like MTV and like Kurt Loder driving around the back of like a Jeep
Yep.
throughout all the wreckage, acting like as if he was like in Kosovo or something. And I was like, what is the fuck is this? And it was found out that Woodstock '99 was just a huge fucking disaster.
Yeah,
Everything
everything
about
about it was a
everything
disaster.
about it. First of all, the music was terrible. Most of the bands
It's
were terrible.
I'll tell you, man. I'm looking at the lineup. Not the lineup that was featured in the documentary, but the actual lineup. It is shit. It is. I can't believe like okay, there are a few bands there that I wouldn't have mind seeing, like G Love and Special Sauce, of course. George Clinton and the P Funk All Stars were there. Um, I don't know that he'd be a good live show, but I like Moby, even though he's a little problematic or whatever now. But like, I like Moby. Um, Bruce Hornsby, I
Moby
guess.
followed my art account and would repost my anti-Trump art.
Well, yeah, there you go. See, the Tragically Hip were there, which I guess are kind of interesting.
But then that whole Natalie Portman thing happened.
Yeah, that's the
We
it's the
stopped
Natalie
posting things
Portman
on the
thing.
internet.
But for the most part, it was shit band after shit band, and they
Yeah, it
were
was like, well, the highlight was fucking Limp Bizkit.
Limp Bizkit.
So,
Yeah.
and these are all like horrible bands. Like, so regardless, the event like is like poor planning.
Yeah.
Um, they well, first of all, they brought up in the documentary is really good. They brought up in the documentary the whole thing about Woodstock, and I said,
Mhm.
listen, everyone they glorified the shit out of it. He said like there were like fires.
Yeah.
They were like he's like the thing was all chaos. Like they focus on the Jimi Hendrix playing like the
Sure.
national anthem, whatever, on his guitar and everything, and he's like it wasn't this like safe like people got sick and died like it
Yeah.
wasn't this like perfect thing. Now Woodstock '99 was like a complete shit show. First of all, they couldn't get like a feel, so they ended up doing it like in this weird militarized looking air base. It must look like you're in a prison.
Yeah.
It's in the middle of the summer, and you're on concrete. It's hot as fuck. So
Yeah.
whatever, you already made a bad decision to begin with. People like they didn't have like they thought it would work out. Like, well, almost all the resources are there because it was like an air base or something, and they didn't have any of that. None of that
Mm-mm.
worked. Like the water, they were charging like too much for
Yep.
stuff, and people were like sneaking in drugs. Like supposedly security
Yeah.
sucked, like a shitty security job. Like they
Yeah. The
and then they talk
security
about
guards had all gotten hired like the weekend before, and they just took like a 1 hour training course on
and
like
they
what
basically
security
were
was
just
like.
there to basically be there,
Yeah.
and they would,
Well, you need them to get insurance for the place. You know,
and
like
then they were taking bribes, so they were letting the kids bring in drugs and
yep.
shit. And they said, like, and because of the kind of music sucked, it attracted shitty kind of people. It was like a lot of frat dudes, they said. And like, I just
Well,
remember hearing about it. And I was like, I didn't go to Woodstock '94. I didn't care. I went to Lollapalooza the year before, and I was like,
yeah.
I can't do 2 day festival. Like
Right.
this,
Right. Right.
but the Woodstock '99, at that point, I was very into like a lot of indie hardcore music.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would have been like, these bands are posers,
Right.
whatever. But I just remember thinking, like, oh my God, this lineup sucks. I hated Limp Bizkit. Like, Limp Bizkit was like, I liked the first Korn album that came out when I was in high school.
Sure.
My wife makes fun of me about it. I'm like, I don't care. That first album's good. Do I listen to it? No, I haven't listened to it probably like 30 years or 25 years. But I just remember like it kind of was like the beginning of that kind of music, but they were good. That first album was like really good. But fucking Limp Bizkit was like the douchebag version of that. I never liked that guy. What's his name?
Fred Durst.
I always thought he was a douchebag. He looked like a douchebag. He sounded like a douchebag. Look, his performance and what he did and how he riled them all up and caused even more chaos.
Yeah.
Just proved that he was a douchebag. Like, they were having I highly recommend you watch this documentary. They go some of these. But go ahead.
No, it's really good. It's a good documentary too. Like it's a well done movie.
Like they were talking about DMX, who recently died.
Right.
And there's like this one scene, and I ain't gonna say the word.
Yeah.
Joseph, you say it.
No, but it was weird.
No, I'm not going to.
He basically, I had a little problem with this part of the movie. He, DMX was there, and he was a big hit at the time, and he was a black artist singing for a primarily white audience.
They said the crowd was like very white.
It was
like very frat type people.
Yep. Well, it was geared and marketed towards that, and it was
it was the kind of music, so it's going to attract some kind of people.
And DMX was playing songs that featured like certainly perspectives from the black voice, black community or whatever. And the white audience was just sort of co-opting it. And it was like super weird. And they were all like chanting along and using the N-word along with DMX. And it was just like this awful thing. Now, they did bring some people out in the documentary, and they're like, this is the first time this had happened. And they're kind of like analyzing it from a cultural perspective. And
they said that they said they thought that was bad because he basically invited the entire audience, which was predominantly white, to scream back the N-word at him constantly, because it's said constantly throughout the song.
Right. It was super fucked up.
It's like almost like you're validating them doing it. And I mean,
there is
into it too much, but there's a lot of truth to it.
I saw that happen though at the first Lollapalooza. At the very end, Jane's Addiction headlined, and Perry Farrell and Ice-T came out and sang a song together, an old Sly and the Family Stone song. And there's a lot of use of that word in that performance too. And Lollapalooza was primarily, I know it tried to be like multicultural, but it was primarily a white college boy audience. And that's like such a minor quirk or nitpick to have with the film. But I was like, I don't know that all these people analyzing Woodstock 99 had a real good grip on what they were analyzing. That being said, I agreed with their perspective. I just thought that maybe they were off on some of the details.
I mean, they're looking at it from like, I don't know. I get, it made me think of during the George Floyd protests, there was a big one in our area in Denton. I didn't go to it.
Okay.
The one good thing, it led to them taking down that fucking Confederate flag.
Yeah.
There was a Confederate soldier statue in Denton.
Yep.
I didn't even realize it until a couple of years later that I was living here. I remember I was upstairs in that burger place and I was looking down and I saw the arch that said our Confederate soldier. And I was like, oh my God, this is disgusting. I couldn't believe it. That protest kind of led to it. And they just did it in the middle of the night. And they removed it finally.
Yeah.
So that thing's been gone. But there was this huge protest. And then I found out after that it ended up turning into this lame college party. And it was just white kids playing rap music and screaming the N-word. Yeah. And it was like, I think you're kind of losing the message of what this protest was about.
Yeah, it really
got taken over by these people, and they just made it into a big party in the street, but it ended up just being a bunch of white college kids. And it's gross. I mean, whatever. I highly recommend you watch this documentary. They talk about like how there was like hardly any female acts. This is like a weird representation of like the time period, like. And like freaking Columbine just happened that year. This is
Yeah.
like 9/11. It's like it's so crazy when you think about it. It's like wow, this is like this is like a totally different world. The world's like
Yeah.
totally different. And you think about like you're like oh, that was the other thing too that kept on showing was because like Girls Gone Wild was so big at that time. And
Yeah.
all these girls that were a lot of these girls and women getting groped, getting fondled, like it was like really fucked up. And the fucked up thing is like some of those girls like in the video when you watch it, they're like totally into it, but then it just gets out of hand and it gets way worse.
It is. It was a real tough. And one of the interesting things they talked about there was this other critic or analyst or whatever said that this was the first generation of young men that came of age from raised by women, often single women, who were the product of third wave feminism, which is kind of a mouthful, but they said that this group of young men were basically raised without fathers by women who were taught to be feminists, and I don't know that the critic 100% made his point, but it was a really interesting premise to kind of look at. And that if you pinned all and this is just my own belief, if you grabbed all those guys, those Woodstock 1999 young men, the day after Woodstock or the week after Woodstock, and you asked them their views on racism, I think they would all say, many would say racism is wrong. We're here to fight race. But they all engaged in horribly racist behavior. And I think they would all probably view themselves as like feminist leaning people, but they were all horribly misogynistic. It's like a weird thing, I think.
It's like funny because like I feel like now it's like almost worse because those same guys who would say like they're anti-racist or they're not misogynistic, even though they partaked in or did some kind of action that was exactly those things, they would still at least try to claim it. But now these days with Trump and right-wing media, a lot of these guys now don't have to claim.
Yeah,
they could say, I'm not a soy boy cuck.
Right.
I'm not a feminazi or a libtard or they'll scream about cancel culture.
Yep.
Like, they were able to devolve. Like they had to put on a facade and say like back. Like I feel like in a way we have like devolved in a way.
I agree.
Like people have like they could say whatever they want now in a way and think they could get away with it because they kind of can in some ways. I mean, unless it affects them, and if they get hit, they're in the wrong place or if they're in the wrong industry or whatever. But they're like, and so they work for like a gun range, or they can say whatever they want. They're on the Joe Rogan podcast. They can say whatever they want. I feel like back then there almost was like people. I mean, I've heard racist shit all the time growing up like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like I don't know. It's weird. I always like look back when I was younger and I'm like, I feel like things got worse. Like I think people feel like they can get away with saying things now even more than they did back then.
Yeah.
But like the Woodstock '99, like you said, it's almost like it gave them an excuse to enact it and do these things.
But it was like a moment, and I think that they afterwards tried to go back to being normal. And it is weird. It's hard to think back to that time. The music was so bad, it really was like legitimately.
That's the other thing too. I'm like, why would they even call this Woodstock and have these type of bands?
This is like so angry.
Like the guy from the Doors come out and everyone was just like, what is this? I don't even know what the fuck is going on.
It's weird. I looked at the playlist, the people that showed up at Woodstock 94, and it's a much more logical group of people.
It was like a bridge.
Yeah, you have like Joe Cocker.
69 to 94.
Right, you have Joe Cocker, but Blind Melon. You have Crosby, Stills, and Nash. You have Nine Inch Nails and Aerosmith. You have.
They were talking about how Kurt Cobain died earlier that he killed himself that year. Courtney Love killed him. No, I was kidding.
Right.
Heard that one?
Yeah.
And they said like after he died though, like the music started to like almost like devolve in a way. Which I don't know about that. I feel like sometimes these critics like to clump all these things together and say like, oh, it was like more sensitive music. I'm like, was it?
Well, I think they go back and like when you try to look at yeah, they try to retrofit it, and it's like when you try to look at eras in modern in like historical periods, like you go back and you kind of arbitrarily pick where things shifted, you know. Well,
Yeah,
anyway,
no, I know what you mean, but it's like I guess they bring up a point. Like the '80s was filled with like all these like misogynistic like cock rock bands.
yep,
I
yeah,
always find it funny. You ever like look at these bands like Motley Crue and all them, Poison, all them? They all like put on makeup and shit, but they
yeah,
were all like these are like the most homophobic
oh
motherfuckers.
yeah,
I always found that so bizarre.
it is
Like
bizarre.
they're like 1/10 away from being a drag queen. It
Oh
was,
yeah,
but they were like literally. It was all like over masculine,
yep,
like bitches and shit like that, drugs, just fucking
yeah,
driving cycles and that. And then like, yeah, Nirvana came out, all these other bands, and it became like music got a little deeper. And all
right,
those bands didn't know how to respond or what to do. They thought, oh, all I could do was cut my hair and change my music a little bit, and it didn't work. It's like,
right,
no, you don't get it. And but then he died, and I guess the point they were trying to make, it was like he dies, and then 5 years later, or 4 year, a couple years later, now the music is fucking Limp Bizkit, which
yeah,
is basically just the '80s, the attitude of those like misogynistic '80s rocker dicks, but a different kind of music, but still the same kind of mentality.
yeah, no,
Still,
that's real true.
still attracting the same kind of audience. It's just a different style. It's a different style, more modern from the '80s, but so I think that's the point they were making too. It's like if you go from 90 within those 5 years, the music and everything changed, and it just got the music got more misogynistic,
Yeah,
or I mean, it's not the music got more. It's like what was more popular.
yeah,
Like there was misogynistic music coming out when Nirvana was out too. It's just that the popular music or what was
right.
media was pushing was a different kind of music.
It is. It is. It's a great movie. I watched it and I went back and rewatched a bunch of scenes from it. Not because I wanted to be prepared to talk about them, but just because I was genuinely interested in them. And I would like you. I would definitely recommend it. You don't necessarily have to be a fan of this music. In fact, it kind of helps
I think
not
it's
to be.
better if not.
Yeah. I didn't like any of the music.
No,
And
there's the fucked up thing too is they would have like they said like they had like one female act for each day. It's like
yeah,
and then of course everyone's like screaming at her to
right. Take off her top or something.
yeah. It's like
Um,
but so there's a lot of we'll wrap this part up. There's a lot of factors involved, but it's like they're talking about the music, they're talking about the conditions that the people were in. Um like Girls Gone Wild shit was like popular, so
yeah,
it led to like this fucked up version of free love that was, you know what I mean? It was
yeah.
like
Oh yeah,
different. And then like just mishandling, greed, a lot of factors involved.
yeah,
Didn't they? I think they said they only made in the end, after everything was all said and done, they made only like $200,000,
yeah. They made like
which
hard.
to me that's a lot of money, but it's not. That's not what you
No,
want to make when you're running Woodstock. The goal is to make millions.
yeah, yeah,
And you want to all the one thing too about Woodstock is you want to take that Woodstock and you want to make a record, which I think they did with '94. It's
yep.
not just about the one festival; it is a product that you forever
Well,
sell.
yeah, and you'd like to hopefully have another Woodstock,
Yeah,
and another, and
and
a
Woodstock '99 just killed
yeah,
Woodstock completely. They talked about doing it like a couple of years ago, and
sure,
they ended up canceling it. Yeah, they even brought it up in the doc. I remember that they were going to do another Woodstock, and they just said fuck it. Like it was just it's not worth.
yeah,
Like Woodstock '99 totally just tainted the brand and like
yeah,
um yeah, I recommend watching it. It's a good music documentary. It's a good like they talk to about these this there's a story going on with these guys who attended.
hmm,
It's funny because a lot of these guys who attended like they're my age, like it's
yeah,
like the same age. And when their friend died there, the people
yeah, yeah.
died.
Oh
That's
yeah,
like they
yeah,
showed like I didn't even realize like they show so much chaos. It's bad. I mean,
yeah.
the
It
funny thing,
was
you know, when like a team wins and like the town, the people just like
yeah, right.
Like I never understood that. That is totally crazy. When people
Yeah,
like tear
like
down like
destroy
mailbox.
city buses and stuff, and yeah.
What? Where does that come
Uh,
from? My team won. It's time to
just
destroy
fuck up the
property.
city.
What? Like, why?
Yeah,
I mean, it would make sense if your team won.
sure. Yeah, right.
And we're going to terrorize your city, the city that we lost in.
Shelbyville. Shelbyville.
Shelbyville. Yeah. Take that lemon tree.
Oh,
Um,
fuck.
yeah. I don't know. All right. So speaking of other, we'll end this.
Yeah,
Well, what if?
right.
So
And the third episode of What If was released.
What if Woodstock 99 didn't
Right.
happen?
Well, this one we both
Oh,
watched it.
9/11.
We watched it once. Um, I thought it was a middling episode. It
It
was
wasn't.
fine.
It's definitely the weakest of the three. So the first
Yes.
episode was the Captain Carter episode, which was great. The second
Yep.
episode was great also. I just want to bring up a good point though about the
Hmm.
second episode, and I was thinking about
Yeah,
afterwards.
yeah.
That's the one with if T'Challa became Star-Lord.
Right.
Why would T'Challa gets taken into space?
Yeah.
Why would he become Star-Lord? Wouldn't he just
Yeah.
become something else? It
Something
makes
else.
no sense because like the joke about Star-Lord is that like I mean maybe there's more of a mythos to it, but the idea that Peter Quill would come up with a name like yeah I'm Star-Lord.
Right.
It's like the joke is he's like this
All grandiose and yeah.
grand grandiose like look at me I'm the Star-Lord and people are like and the joke is when the guy hears that he's like who?
That's true. T'Challa would have much more likely have been something called the Black Panther, but in space.
Unless he was given the name Star-Lord because he
True.
actually earned it. That's the only. But like, why would he wear the same helmet?
Yeah.
Like, I know this is like
Right. It's kind
you gotta just forget it, lose the moment, and just enjoy. I just thought about that. I was like, why would he?
Yeah.
He could become a thing like Star-Lord, but what?
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Well,
I guess the joke again is they would call him that, and he'd be like, "Fine, I am the Star-Lord."
Yeah, I'll be.
While the other one's like, "I'm Star-Lord."
The Captain Carter. The first episode was really good, much better than I had hoped for, and I was super excited. The second with the T'Challa as Star-Lord was amazing. I loved every minute of that episode. I thought it worked.
Yeah, that's a good one. Thanos and just everything, and hearing what's his face for the last time.
Yes, it just was rewarding on so many different levels.
Howard Brosnan. Yeah.
And this third one, it certainly wasn't bad. I wonder how much of it just suffered in comparison to the second one.
I just don't know where it was going at first. I was like, so the whole thing it's called like, what if the Avengers died or something?
It was basically what if the Avengers never formed?
If they were killed. So, and it's confusing. It takes place. So it's not really said in the movies, but it's been done in like comics and brought up after the fact that they call it the first wave one of movies, I call it, is called Nick Fury's Busy Week. So Iron Man 2, Incredible Hulk, and Thor all take place in the same week.
Right. And they show that in this episode.
Even though Iron Man and Incredible Hulk came out the same year in 2008, in the way they fit the Hulk in is Hulk takes place exactly the same week as Iron Man 2 does.
Yeah.
Because in the end of the Incredible Hulk, there was a big deal when Incredible Hulk came out in 2008. It was the first time like a Marvel character was crossing over. And I knew there was that Tony Stark was going to have a cameo in the end of Incredible Hulk.
Right.
And they touted that crazy when the movie came out because Iron Man was such a huge hit and they were hoping that people would go see the Hulk. And he does show up in the end. It's like a little weird, but it's kind of funny because it's like, no, this is Tony Stark supposed to be from Iron Man, post Iron Man 2.
Right.
Well, whatever. So that's what this story is about. So throughout every time the plot is Black Widow and Hawkeye work with Nick Fury.
Yes.
And they're trying to get Iron Man. They're trying to get Thor and the Hulk on the team. They go see Iron Man and he dies. Like he just drops dead.
Yeah. It's very surprising in the episode.
Black Widow injects him with like a serum that was supposed to help him with his heart, which
Yes.
if you saw Iron Man 2, that's what happens. And it helps him, makes him feel better. But in this one, they make it seem like she poisoned him. And so she's like on the run. And then Thor, at that time, he's like trying to, like the hammer shows up because it's
it's basically the first scene. It's a scene from the first Thor movie.
Yeah, and that's where Thor's trying to recover the hammer. And Hawkeye, there's a scene where Hawkeye has the arrow and they tell him don't shoot or anything, but he ends up accidentally shooting Thor and killing him before he gets the hammer, because Thor was like, even though he's strong still, he was like mortal without his hammer on Earth.
Yeah.
And then the third one, which is the best one, is she went to go see Betty, Scarlet Witch goes to see Betty Banner at, or Betsy Ross, sorry.
Yeah.
At the college or whatever. And I don't know, like get some, it's kind of cool. It was like cool to see. It almost like, what's cool about this What If, it kind of like works in the Hulk more into the overall MCU. Because it was always kind of like a weird bastard movie. Like it was a Universal film. And I don't know. They had like, and they basically retconned and removed Edward Norton from the film and basically replaced him with what's his name?
Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah. So there's a scene where he turns into the Hulk, but he like gets bigger and just literally just explodes. Like really bizarre. And everyone's like, what the hell's going on? And then Black Widow gets killed. And Loki shows up with the entire Asgardian army.
Yeah.
Basically like ready to take over the Earth, like retaliate because his brother was killed.
Right.
You know, you saw the first Thor movie, right?
Yeah.
Loki's the bad guy, but they don't know that.
Right. They think it's that giant robot, but it's Loki.
Well, the giant robot was working for Loki.
Right. They think the giant robot's the villain that they have to defeat, but it's really
it's Loki, but in this version where Thor dies, now Loki's more held in a leadership position, so he gets to like claim that he cares about his brother, which he does, but he's still a jerk, and he now is like the ruler of Asgard in a way. So like Nick Fury works out a deal and basically says he has to find the killer or whatever. I don't know, and that's when it's revealed. Spoilers, guys. I mean, I guess we spoiled this already. Hank Pym. So the What If was kind of confusing in this because each one of them shows you like a what if, Sharon Carter became Captain America? What if? It wasn't clear what the what if actually was. It was almost like a weird little. You find out he goes to the grave of Hope Van Dyne, which is the MCU version of the Wasp.
Right.
She's the daughter of Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne, the original Wasp. You find out in this world that Hope Van Dyne ended up working for Nick Fury and getting killed.
Yeah.
And Hank Pym blames him for it. And Hank Pym, who is now Yellow Jacket in this world, which is kind of cool, tie back to the comics. He actually becomes Yellow Jacket in the comics. Yellow Jacket's like the evil Ant-Man, and you see him, and I guess Michael Douglas did the voice, and he did looking, and they basically reveal how he killed all the Avengers. It's just, I love how they show you, like when you say like Ant-Man is this not powerful character,
right?
It just shows you how powerful Ant-Man actually can be.
Yeah,
right. He's the one that kills Tony Stark by going into him.
Yeah,
he's the one that makes Hawkeye slip and shoot up the bow. Yep. And he's also the one who basically he threw a Pym particle into Hulk's heart, which made him grow and explode. It made his heart explode. I love that fight scene though with Nick Fury, and he keeps him, saying that it's revealed it's
Loki. Yeah.
It's okay. Again, there's like a fun ending. Like the joke is now Loki runs the Earth, but then go ahead.
No, I agree. It was hard. That was the thing that was bothering me. It was real hard to figure out the what if, and ultimately,
the what if was really what if Hope Van Dyne worked for Nick Fury.
Yeah,
but that's in the past, and she's dead.
Right.
So you can't. So that's really what the episode should have been called. Like, what if Hope Van Dyne worked for Nick Fury?
Right. Yeah. It was just. and it had no super satisfying payoff. You know, I
Well, I
mean,
do like the joke with like Loki showing up at the UN,
UN,
whatever,
yeah,
basically like, yeah, we're in charge now. And but then Nick Fury going to wake up Captain America,
right,
and which that's like a little bit mess. That doesn't really work because here's the thing: supposedly Hulk smashing the Arctic is why Captain America, why how he
yeah,
was supposedly. I don't know. And then Captain Marvel shows up in the end.
right. Yeah, and they you kind of know that's coming because you see Nick Fury bust out the beeper earlier
Yeah,
in the episode.
yeah.
Um, it was good. Like I said, if this were the first episode I saw, I'd be like, oh, this looks good. I'm gonna
Right. It's like one was good and two was really good and three is like it's okay.
yeah,
So it's like I wouldn't. It's not bad. It just I don't know. It just didn't have his like it's kind of funny. Like I mean, it is almost played for laughs. How like, they're all killed
right.
easily and in really stupid ways. Like and there's supposed but it just shows you like how again with what if different circumstances
Yeah,
could lead to things. But I do like seeing the Michael Douglas
right.
in the crazy like yellow jacket outfit and his eyes are all nuts and he's like um yeah, it was cool seeing Captain Marvel in the end. I
Yep.
could imagine Captain Marvel would just do some crazy laser beam
Yeah.
and just kill like the entire Asgardian army.
Yeah.
Captain America and Nick Fury could just sit back.
Yeah.
It's always it's kind of funny. I guess I mean obviously they got a retcon shit. They made Captain
Sure.
Marvel. It's like the 19th movie or something. But you ever see like you ever think like in the first Avengers movie, like Nick Fury's like, should I get the beeper?
Right.
Like, do we need the beeper? And they're like, man, they got this. Oh, the Hulk showed up. Oh, okay, good. I don't know.
Yeah.
They got I trust these guys. They got this. They got this. Like a nuclear missile was like,
Right. Right.
remember, like they were gonna send a nuclear missile.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. It's like, oh, okay, they got it. And then like an Ultron shows up and like, and that's like chaos and like there's a big city. Nick Fury's like, oh man, should I get the beeper?
Yeah. Right.
But then I guess Avengers 2 or Infinity War when they show that scene in the end when everyone starts turning to dust.
Yeah.
I guess that was like, all right,
Now's the time.
now's the time to get the beeper.
Yeah. It
I
is.
can get the yeah.
Some of that, I mean, I guess we have to ignore. I thought the one thing I will say I liked about this episode is it did seem to weave together a bunch of movies and Marvel history together and kind of like let you see a different perspective of it. It was good. I mean, like I said,
it shows you that first week, which is kind of cool.
It's very cool.
Because that is what they call those three movies. It's Nick Fury's busy week. And that's why more off-camera stuff. It was like mentioned in a comic and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool to see it play out in What If. It's kind of cool to see, like, again, other things like Betsy Ross, who's never been in any of the Marvel movies, to see her interact with other characters. And like, I know it's a cartoon, but the animation style is so well done.
Yeah, it's nice.
It is. It's kind of like it's like I said, it's got a little bit of like a Superman 30s animation, but like it doesn't feel like you're watching a cartoon either.
No, it
there's like a little bit of a realism to it.
Yeah, there's like a sophistication of some sort.
Yeah, and getting the majority of the actors in the movies really adds a lot of weight.
Much.
I don't think that was Scarlett Johansson.
No, I really did not like the Scarlett Johansson character in this. The voice actress was fine. It did not feel like the Black Widow from the movies. It just didn't feel like it. And it was like she was different in a lot of ways. She was kind of like a better character, but like it was so different than the film.
She got to do more. So
yeah, it was probably a better character, but it was a jarring difference, and I didn't love it. And I really like Scarlett Johansson. I like her voice. I like, So,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. She plays a great. She's multi-ethnic.
Yeah. Well,
I think it was the Daily Show or something. They were showing like all the different actors who play Nelson Mandela.
Yeah. And then they showed
And they showed Charles Johansson giving the speech of Mandela's voice. Shortly after that movie came out.
I do acknowledge all those problems or whatever, but I have always really
it's not her fault. It's her agent and her manager.
Well, I will for sure watch next week. I've liked them all so far.
I mean, it was still good.
Yeah, it's still good.
It's like when we were talking about the Marvel shows, I think we even said it was like Loki episode 3 or something. Yeah. It was the one where it was him and Sylvie and they were on that planet. And it was the weakest episode, but still was really good.
Yes. The worst Marvel episodes on Disney are still better than most television. So,
yeah. So what are you, some kind of Marvel sellout? The only person who makes good movies is a man by the name Zack Snyder. Okay.
Yeah.
Wake up and I like to grab my ivermectin.
There you go.
I take a shot of ivermectin and I watch the Snyder cut. That's how you cure COVID.
You spend the weekend.
If you get COVID, it's just watch the Snyder cut and you'll be fine. One last thing.
Yeah.
I have other methods, other treatments you could take if you catch COVID. If you're going to take sheep parasitic or whatever.
Right.
And hook up a car battery to your nipples. That's a good way to treat COVID.
Click and clack approved. Yep.
Good. Brought to you by I don't even know, car battery company.
I have no idea.
Ever ready.
Die Hard.
Energizer Bunny. Do you have any COVID things that you can treat COVID with? Any homemade remedies that
orange
can pass
juice
down from your
what? Orange juice.
Orange juice. Yeah.
No. I'm
Make sure to get the extra pulp.
I'm a vaccine, a mask kind of guy. So I was born, the cell die.
You're not a hook a car battery to your nipples guy.
No.
I have some homemade remedy.
Woof.
Stick your head in the microwave.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
On that note, I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
And you still good on about
that?
Thank you for listening to You Still Going On About That. Please like, comment, share, and if you haven't done already, please follow us on Instagram, YSGOAT, Facebook, YSGOAT, and Twitter, YSGOAT. Thank you, and have a great day.